Hello and welcome back. My name is Juditha. I am your mindset coach. I am your dream life advocate. This is a space where we talk about all the things that matter when we're trying to create our dream life, okay? Because I'm doing the same thing. Today, I want to talk about how to prepare our minds for failure, right? Because this is definitely something or like a season that I feel like I'm in. I kind of feel like I'm being called to sit with myself in a lot of like uncertainty and unsureness. Anyone who's ever done anything great, anyone who has started a business, anyone who decides to be a creator, the number one thing that we come up against is our brain, right? And our brain hates the uncertainty of the journey. Our brain hates not knowing exactly how things is going to unfold. Our brain hates that we can't predict exactly what's going to happen. I talked about this in a previous video, but I feel like this season has been very trying for me, right? It's been a lot of, I feel like, tests and a lot of moments where I'm being called to practice being the woman that I say that I am, right? I'm being called to practice being an entrepreneur, being a successful businesswoman, all the things, all the hats. And one thing that I realize is that something that we all need to know and keep in mind is that failure isn't something to be afraid of. It's something that we all need. It's something that anyone who is rich, who is successful, who is living the life that you or I want to live, like, they had to endure certain things. And failure is one of them. What I will say is that this is something that my brain is definitely still getting used to, because I still catch myself doing certain things where I don't exactly see it as avoiding failure, right? Like when we overthink, we don't see it as avoiding failure. When we have an excuse that we can't do it yet, it's not the right time, we don't see it as avoiding failure, but it is. It's just failure will disguise itself. It wears many hats and you won't see it coming until you're like, damn, I still haven't made any progress. I still didn't do the things I say I was going to do because I'm still waiting on something, right? I'm still waiting on a certainty that I will never get. A way that this specifically shows up for me a lot is like, because I'm a business owner turned content creator and I create content for YouTube, for my podcast, for TikTok, for Instagram, like I do all the things. And what I've found lately, especially, like, oh my God, in the last video when I talked about how my plans for 2025 aren't going as I thought they were, like this is a part of it. And a part of that is like, I've been creating content lately, but I've been overthinking everything to the point where I'm just like, nothing feels good enough. Like nothing feels like it's gonna work. I'm like so focused on creating like the perfect thing. And because my brain cannot tell me ahead of time for sure, oh, like this is gonna be the video that really hits, like this is gonna be the thing that everybody understands. Because my brain ahead of time can't tell me that, I spend a lot of time re-editing and redoing things and rethinking, and I'll edit something and I'll be like, you know what, it's not good enough. That is me avoiding failure. That is me saying that I'd rather stay here in this phase where I'm thinking and trying to work things out rather than me putting something out there and then being able to judge from the results if it was a good idea or not, or if there's something I need to change or not. So that's how it's specifically been showing up for me. And so I want you to look at your life and look at what you're overthinking. Look at what you're trying to be a perfectionist at. Look at what excuses your brain have been feeding you as to why you're not taking action, and really look and see, like, is it that I'm avoiding failure? Is it because I'm uncertain? I have no idea what's going to happen if I do this thing, and because of that, is that why I'm really not taking action? Is it because I want a certain result, and because I want a certain result, everything that I do, I'm hyper fixated on. I'm really trying to make sure it's perfect because I need this result. All of that is just you resisting failure. So my work and your work, right, in this season is to be okay being unsure and take action anyways, right? It's like, this is the time where we practice having the faith that we say we have. This is the time where we practice being that patient person that we say we are. This is the time where we actually enjoy the journey instead of being so fixated on the destination. And I think that, like, God works in mysterious ways, and he will keep you in a season of your life for a very long time if the lesson has not been learned yet, right? And that is something that I'm really, really starting to recognize. So slowly but surely, I'm working my way back into like actually living like I have faith, right? Actually being okay with failing, actually being okay with being uncertain. So what I really want to leave you guys with is some tips to embrace failure the way millionaires do. I'm going to give you proof that shows that this is how millionaires think. This is what millionaires do. They don't run from failure because they realize that failure is not the absence of success. It's not the absence of success. What it actually is it's a part of success. Okay, so the first thing that I want to give your brain to help you really, really believe in this and shift the way you think about failure. The first person I want to talk about is Sarah Blakely. So Sarah Blakely is the lady that invented the Spanx. Ladies, you already know this is the original waist trainer. Okay, she invented Spanx, and something that she does, like in her biography, she credits her success to her dad, because when she was growing up, her dad would always ask her every day, like, hey, did you fail today? Like, what did you fail at today? He would always make failure seem like an assignment, right? He would always make it feel like a fun thing. And so to her, the way that she looks at failure is that failure is proof. It's evidence that you're trying. It's evidence of your work. It's evidence that you're putting in that effort, that you're taking action. And because that's how she viewed failure, when she came up with Spanx, and it seemed like she was just a normal woman, right? She was a normal woman who had a problem. She was not a businesswoman. So when she came up with this idea and it didn't work out the first few times, she saw that as something, as her effort. She saw that as evidence that she was moving in the right direction. And because of that, she built $1 million, I don't even know if it's $1 billion at this point, but she built a business that's worth millions of dollars because she saw failure this way. Another person that we can look at is Jeff Bezos, right? Jeff Bezos, he had I think he had a corporate career, and he quit his corporate career because he had an idea, right, to do Amazon. And at first it didn't work out. At first, just like any success story that you're going to hear, more than likely 9 times out of 10, the first time was not the last time, right? The first time was trials. The first time was a mistake. The first time was failure. So for him, it was no different. Amazon was just a series of failures, right? He had to fail in order to perfect it to where it is now. So failure for him was just a means to innovation. It was the way that you get better. And that's the way that he viewed failure. And we all know how rich that man is, okay? So that's the second evidence that I want you to feed your brain when your brain is telling you that you need to wait, or that it's not perfect, or that it's not the right time. So the next example of a millionaire, really billionaire, who used failure is Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah was fired from her first job as a TV anchor, right? She was told that she just wasn't fit for TV. And guess what she did? She went, got her own show, and proved everybody wrong. So for her, failure was just redirection. It was just pointing her in the right direction, right? And I know a saying that I've heard a lot and seen on social media is rejection is God's protection. And for Oprah, that's exactly what it was. It was just God's protection. It was a redirection. And that is how she saw failure. Imagine if Oprah got fired from that job, and right after she got fired, she just quit. Like, imagine if she just went and worked a corporate job. And imagine if she just did something completely different because she got fired and they told her she wasn't fit for TV. Like, we literally would not have Oprah and all the things that she did for people and all the changes that she's made in the world. Like, we wouldn't have Oprah, right? So failure sometimes is redirection. That's another way that millionaires see failure that we also need to adopt. And the last person that I want to talk about, because guys, I'm giving you these examples because this is how our brains work. Next time that you are avoiding failure, these are the examples that are going to come to mind, and this is why we're talking about them. So the next person is Elon Musk, and we all know Elon Musk. Specifically, we're going to talk about SpaceX, right? How many times has this man launched a rocket for it to not work out, for it to be destroyed? But guess what? He never gave up. Each time he rebuilt that thing and he launched it again. He rebuilt it and he launched it again. And now he has contracts with NASA because he didn't give up. He used, every time he failed, he used it as feedback. He used it as data, as information, because that's what it is, right? Every time you do something and it doesn't work out, you have information. You now understand there might be a better way, right? You now understand what to do next, what to keep, and what to not do again. Failure is feedback. And this is how millionaires see it. They don't run away from it. They run towards it, right? Some of the most successful people in the world have had to endure failure hundreds of times, losses of big amounts of money hundreds of times. Like, these things happen. We are not exempt. If you and I want to live a very successful life, right? We want to be millionaires. This is how we have to think, right? The blueprint is there, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to guess. The blueprint for how to think like a millionaire is there. They fail. So if you fail, that doesn't make you any different than them. That doesn't make your chances of succeeding any less than theirs. But what does determine how successful you're going to be is if you're willing to fail again and get up. If you're willing to fail again and get up, because that's what successful people do. That's what millionaires do. They fail and they get up. They learn from it. They fail, they get up, they learn from it. Okay, so you get to shift your perspective to see failure this way. When you do that, it's easier for you to take risks. It's easier for you to take action on the dreams that scare you, right? The ones that feel impossible, the ones that feel out of reach. When you look at failure differently, you're not afraid to try. And when you're not afraid to try, you can get feedback. And when you get feedback, that means you're making progress. But there are some things that I want you to keep in mind as you're rewiring your brain to be prepared for failure. So one of the first things is that it's going to take time. However old you are, if you're 18, if you're 20, if you're 30, if you're 40, that is how many years you have spent probably running away from failure. So you're not going to change overnight. Your brain isn't going to welcome failure in by tomorrow morning. That's very not likely to happen. Okay. And that's okay because we're human. But the good thing about being human is that we have these brains that can rewire themselves. We have these things that is literally reshaping who we are once we decide that we want to be someone different, right? Once we decide that we want to think different or believe different, the work is just to do it consistently. The work is just to remind yourself of what you're going to think now and who you're going to be now. So from this point forward, you're going to be someone who is not afraid of failure. And you're going to repeat that to yourself every day if you have to. You're going to remind yourself, you're going to listen, you're going to remember these stories I told you about these millionaires and how they look at failure, right? This is what you're going to feed your brain to slowly rewire it so that failure isn't such a big deal to you. Again, have patience with yourself because I just told you, I have been working on my mindset for years, right? And I know a lot. Failure is still something that I have fear about sometimes, right? And that's because failure does a very, very good job of disguising itself as something else. So you might think it's procrastination. You might think it's overthinking. You might think it's perfectionism. And really, it's just you trying not to fail. It's you trying to get it right the first time. So be very aware of what failure looks like. Be very aware of how it's coming up in your life because it might not be as simple as, I don't want to fail. It is going to look different for everyone, right? It's going to, depending on your goals, it's going to show up differently for you. So be aware and ask yourself from now on, am I really not ready for this? Or am I just afraid that it might not work out? Am I afraid that I might fail? Is it really not the right time? Or am I afraid that I might fail at it? So just keep asking yourself so that you are making decisions on faith and not out of fear, okay? That is it for today. I hope this was helpful. I hope you bloomed. If you're listening on the podcast, please make sure you follow the show and give me a rating, guys. Your ratings really, really help me. And if you're listening on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe, drop a comment. Let me know if this resonated with you. Let me know how failure is showing up for you. I hope you bloom today. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys on the next one. And before I leave, I almost forgot. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, if you want help getting over your mindset so that you can actually create your dream life, go ahead and click that link in my description box to join my one-on-one program. All you got to do is fill out the form and then I'll reach out to you and then we can get started as soon as possible.